So welcome to our One Baht Wisdom drug smuggling special. I'll be heading down to Bourbon Street very soon to join Carl and our special guest. I'll be reading a few news articles here from the last 18 months to 2 years, and you may well know there's been a lot of young British people who have been caught out attempting to smuggle weed from Thailand, mostly to the UK. Are they naive? Are they being tricked? Or are they just stupid? Or is it a combination of all three? Now, there was also a news story a couple of weeks ago. A young lad from the UK was caught out in his hotel room with 9 kilos of what was most certainly not weed. We'll be talking about that as well. And our special guest today has a new book out. In fact, he's got 2 new books out, and we'll be talking about that. And he's got an interesting story some of you may well be familiar with. Carl, there was some news last week. A young lad from Marlow, affluent background, got caught out at the Phoenix Hotel in Sukhumvit 11. Is it 9 kilos of crystal meth?
Yeah, I couldn't believe there's just so much about that just sort of like leaves me scratching my head. Because although it's something that happens here and it always has, going back for a long time, it's just this one doesn't fit the pattern, does it? The guy he apparently come from a very wealthy family. I know Marlow is one of the most fantastic places you could ever live. It's just a beautiful town. He had a good education by all accounts, and he'd only been here for 2 weeks.
How would you get into those circles to find a job, get yourself acquainted with this crowd of people?
To me, I would say it's been agreed back home in the UK, all this.
Right.
Whether he's been tricked some way or it's only weed, like you blah blah. We don't know. I don't like a lot of these. You never fully get the truth of any of it.
Some of the comments on this news article said that with his parents' wealth, they could buy their way out of it.
Well, I think things like that. I was under the impression, I don't know if it's true or not, but if we were to get caught in India, if we got 15 grand to them straight away before it got to the press, you could get out. I don't know if that's true or not, but that was always like a bit of a, if you do get caught, make sure you get some money to them rapid. I think Thai had the same thing going on. Get money to them coppers, but once it gets open into the press, it's all closed.
Yeah.
Do you think he's been very naive? Has he?
Sorry, yeah.
I'm talking about a generational thing, because has he romanticised this whole scenario? Because you get a lot of young, particularly from England, they come here and they think because weed's legal here, they can buy loads of it, put it in their suitcase and take it home and get away with it.
That could be part of it. People saying, I might say the scenario, you're back home, oh, you want to go to Thailand, drugs are they're legal now. What do you mean? Yeah, it's legal.
Right.
And possibly that to some kind of being tricked maybe, or...
Do you think it's possible he didn't realise what it was?
That could be possible as well.
Now I remember years ago, when I used to live Bump End, it was, there were a lot of people doing it then, but it was always, it always sort of seemed somebody would come and you'd see them, they'd be living there and you'd see them around, and then they were there for a while, and then they'd start hanging around with the people that you knew were in that kind of thing, but it was always like a kind of slow progression.
What, as they run out of money and they go towards looking for ways?
There were 2 kind of distinct groups. That there was the group that turned up were from Africa, were from the Sudan, and they were very suspicious. I think it was just poverty had driven them to do that, because they'd turn up and they just act very suspiciously. They wouldn't go out anywhere. It was obvious they had no money. They'd literally be sitting on street corners, leaning on street corners, and just, and it was all very suspicious. I'm sure they were just doing it from the aspect of poverty. But then you also had a lot of really young Western guys who do it, and I do think there was a glamour aspect to it. You know, when you're in that environment,
the naughtiness of it all, and his life is literally ruined, isn't it? And it doesn't seem to scare anybody from doing it.
Right.
It's not like that. I'm sure that lad must have. We've all heard the stories, and you know, most of us have read, you know, the damage done and the Bangkok Hilton stories. So everybody knows the stories, and it's the most stupidest thing you could ever do, and yet people still do it.
Steve, how did it happen with you? How did you get drawn into that?
Mine was, I guess, a long story of gradually. I said 2 years I'd been here and seen what was going on before I actually did it. I guess mine was a desperation in some ways, but I just didn't want to go home at this point. While my mum was alive, it was never even a thought of, shall I do it? I just knew friends that were doing it. I used to talk, I say, are you mad? By the time my mother had died, I mean, I don't want to use that as an excuse, but that is, it's almost like I'd been freed a little bit of, I could be a bit more reckless.
Right.
So that's kind of how I went down that road. You know, the options was always there for me. I don't know who was, you know, we was talking about it before. Do people look for victims?
Yeah.
In our circle of friends, it wasn't like that at all.
Right.
It was, no, it was nothing like that. It was just
Right.
like, if you want to do it, you can do it. But, we all know the...
That was the impression I got down Soy Sea Bump End, because, you know, the guys, the Western guys, their situation, it wasn't through desperation. You know, they could have gone home. It was like, I think that they just enjoyed the lifestyle.
Believe it or not, and this is the thing, a lot of people don't really think about this. Most people don't get caught.
Yeah.
We only hear of these horror stories and my story. But they're lucky, not clever, but I guess the luckier ones. They don't write books and they're not in the thingy, and people do it for a period of time. A lot can do it and get enough money and put it into something, and then they're away. It's like, oh, been there, done that.
Yeah.
There's a lot like that.
Yeah.
And I've talked to my friends about it. So you know, like the madness of it, like, and how, you know, mine went wrong, but theirs kind of went okay. But was it the buzz? And I think a lot of it was. It's not just the money. It's the buzz of getting away with it. I'm living here, and there's a lot more things than just the money. I was like trying to get things going. Like when I started, I was a private investigator, you know, in Pattaya. So I was trying to get something going where I didn't have to do it again.
Right.
That was always that in my mind. It was like, I'm not going to keep doing this, because eventually, see, there was nobody getting caught. I was the first out of our bunch, really, to get caught.
Yeah.
I certainly hope I'm not glamorizing it. I'm just trying to tell you how it really is. Because people do it for a reason. There's a reason why that lad's done that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's certainly not for the glamour.
So tell us a bit about your story for those who are not familiar.
Well, so started, I did the first little run just before the tsunami. It was actually October the 26th. That was the first time I did it. And we did it, got away with it. I was actually down PP a week before the tsunami. Luckily, I went back to England, come back on Boxing Day. I remember seeing it on the news, the bungalows we were stopping in being washed down. Right. I can't remember the colour of the roofs. I'm thinking, wow, that was, you know, you think of fate and everything. Anyway, so that was the first time, and I swore I would never do it again.
Where was your first run to?
To Japan.
Right. In
the suitcase. Virtually undetectable suitcases. Didn't get caught through the suitcases, but it's surprising. I mean, I don't know about nowadays, but they weren't detectable through the scans and everything. Yeah. Even feeling it, because they can feel it all.
Right.
Very clever in some ways, but the only way you can get caught is through that. Right.
So what was it? What was the transition like from maybe just hearing about you could make big money doing it to you actually doing it?
my mate, it's hard to, to go to, I've got to be careful, am I? I was there when it was called French Joe. He's doing life in Indonesia now, I think, for people smuggling and so, whatever, but it was an absolute arsehole. Right. And anyway, this French Joe, this is, I can help you with your problem here, I know some Iranians. I first went and met them over in Pratamac, John Tiem way. The Iranian guy's pretty cool, quite, not like gangstery, but there were a couple of his mate were like, Jesus Christ, like he had the scar on his face, and he had like the Thai minder, and I was thinking, we must be being watched here. It was very nervous. Even doing that, as I remember it, because like I'm putting my foot on it into the world that you never think you're going to go into, because I've never been in prison before. I've never really been in any trouble before. So we met in Nana. We went shopping with our Iranian friend, and we bought a lot of diving gear. We bought computers, because there were computer bags then. Some of it was in a computer bag, and we planned it. We was diving and golfing, because also it was in the golf bag. I think we had 2.5 kg in the golf bag.
So you'd actually really put a lot of work into your cover.
We learned to dive. With all the diving equipment, we didn't get to go diving. But down on Pattaya Beach, we put all the gear on. We went swimming just to get the smell. Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it? But we thought, we've got to get them wet.
So
They've got
really,
to have
I mean, that's, so you really took it serious, though, because you
and back then, so it's 2004, I think we had to get books of where we were going to go diving in Okinawa.
Right.
So we were planned also so we went from to Taiwan. So we planned to do it in Taiwan, and then Okinawa, and then we were going to all the way up to like Hokkaido. It was all routed, so we had a complete story. But to be honest, we was doing it as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We was actually really was doing it.
Yeah.
So we had it wasn't just a story, we was living the story.
Now, I don't know how many runs you did, but did you find that you got more casual about it as you got more confident?
I didn't know.
Right.
But some of my friends, how they got caught, never got caught. It was unbelievable. They would go to India. They never did Japan. I don't think they were really trusted to go to Japan, because they couldn't be asked with all that story. They would go to India, pick the bags up, and these were a lot heavier bags. They were going to Europe. If you were to get stopped, you'd be pulled. So there were certain airports that you kind of knew, as they say, 100% guaranteed that you could get through, but they got through. So, but anyway, if you got pulled up with them bags, you would get caught. They were just too obvious, a big layer at the bottom. But they would go, say for example, India, London, meet somebody in London, drop them off, get like $4,000 or $5,000 or pound, pick that up, go back to India, get another bag, go back to Europe maybe, and then from then back to Bangkok. I said, are you nuts? This is the way of thinking. Yeah, but if you're out there, you might as well just get it all. We've get two done in the same one. I'm going, that doesn't look good in your passport, surely.
Yeah.
But they never got caught. You would think them things flag up, wouldn't you?
Was there any kind of like sense of, I don't know, honour's probably not the right word, as to what you transport? Was it like, well, I'm not going to carry any of that. I'm not going to get into this drug,
Yeah, I was like that. But really, I thought I wasn't going to do Class A, but mainly because the sentence was a lot higher.
Right.
Hugely higher.
Like people who did that, would they get hugely more money? Not
hugely, but more.
Right.
Probably, say you're getting 5, you get 10.
Right.
I think so. Do you know, it's weird. Maybe it goes to show how much I wasn't doing it for the money, but I fully can't remember the exact amounts you were getting. I remember it was roughly this and that. It's like, yeah, you think you'd always remember things like that. When I was like trying to put it in the book, how much did I actually get for that? Or even the last one I got caught for, I can't even remember what the agreement was exactly. I think it was like $10,000. But it was I say only cannabis, but at the end of the day, you're going to get in a lot of trouble, whatever it is. But I am very grateful, because I know a lot of them. I was one of the few that did cannabis in Japan. Most of them was Class A, and they got like the 10-year plus sentences.
Right.
Whereas mine was 5 years, 100 days.
So talk us through that 30 minutes from you thinking you're home free to getting interrogated, and that realisation comes over you.
Right now, so I'd already landed in Narita, so it went from via Hong Kong. The bags didn't catch up with us because there was a delay. We already kind of knew that there's a good chance the bags didn't come. So at the time I'm thinking, oh, this is a good thing. So they're going to drop them off the day after at the hotel. But I'd already smelt it. When I landed in the airport, I was the last to leave. It was a late flight, but I was the last to leave the airport. They were swabbing me and questioning me, and they knew I was coming. I knew then. I thought, oh my God, I didn't know I was being paranoid or not, because there's a lot of things happened that made you think. 2 days after, when the bags eventually came, I went to pick it up at the hotel, and I've signed for the bag, and I was looking for the key, and I'm thinking, oh, thank God for that. The Indian band was still on. Got the bag, went to the lift. Out of nowhere, 3 people appeared in it, and I could see the reflection in the steel. They've got suits on. I thought, that's me. I knew straight away, this is. Anyway, so and I've got in the lift. Gone down. I actually said to them, I said, are you going up or down? And they were looking at each other saying, what do we respond to him? And I'm just thinking, oh, no. And I said, you're following me? I said, I'm going down. Pressed it, going down. Got to the bottom, I'm thinking, how are they going to, it's relatively quick, 2 floors. And it opened, then, oh my God. There was all the press was there and everything. Yeah, there was, God knows how many people, 20 with all the cameras, and somebody's grabbed me straight away for a cop, you know.
Yeah.
You know, at the time, and I've never seen it, you can't find it anywhere, but a lot of people have tried. The TV programme Banged Up Abroad have tried to find actual coverage, so it was never really reported. What it was, the Banged Up Abroad found an article in Japanese, because, you know, a lot of people don't even believe it happened, because there's no information on it.
So Steve, I wanted to ask you about life in a Japanese prison. They're well known for being very orderly and neat and tidy.
Very organised. I actually agree with the Japanese system. When I look back now, I think they've got many things right. It's like a retreat, a very strict rehab, because there are no drugs, there are nothing. You can't smoke, there are no extras of anything. You can really go there. It's all about self-contemplation in there. And you do get to realise, like, why the hell do you end up in a Japanese prison? It certainly stopped me from breaking the law again.
It sounds like, what is this no speaking policy?
When you're in the factory, so you can't chit-chat, you end up working in a factory, and then you're putting ballpoint pens together, counting the springs. Ichini, Sanshi, Go, Rock, in your head. I was learning Japanese through that. But so it's very similar to the real Japanese factory, because I've looked back since it was more or less the same, except they're a little bit more freedom of speaking, even though they don't really speak. Right. But you got the big boss up there, and if you need anything, I'll show you what you do. You go, hi, and they'll go, Steven. They'll go, onegaishimasu. Please, can I have some work? And the guy will come over and they go, what do you want? So I need some more springs. And so you have a little chat like that. And then the hat's back on. And then eventually, say when it comes to dinner time, you're queued up, you're counted, and you're counted all the time. That's why I always knew I'd call the book Bango. Everything was Bango, Bango, Tenkan Bango. We almost call it Tenkan Bango, because that slight connection of Tenko. You know, remember the old Tenko? I think people, anyway. So that was it was just number in the morning, evening, Bango, Bango, Bango. Jesus.
So with prison work, all the work you did, did you get money for that when you left?
You do get money. It's not a lot. I can't even remember how much it was. I actually got paid twice for it. We went missing in Wandsworth. I think it was maybe about £200 after 2 years.
Was there any gangs? Did gangs run the prisons?
No. So it's probably 90% Yakuza. So the higher level of Yakuza, they will get a better job in the factory only because they're probably more educated. One of my friends, Kamori, he was a big guy, but his English wasn't good. But because he had more respect, but more really because he was better at organising things. Most of them are people with drug problems. They were in there for ice. I speak to many of them. When you did get, there was a small chance where you could speak to each other in the training. Exercise yard. You get 40 minutes where you could speak.
Right.
Only in twos. You could do it in threes, but you had to walk behind you. So that's when we got to know each other. And you treasure them moments. There were no kicking off or anything. Because we all know what, you raise your voice, you're going to punishment. And everybody's very wary of being good. And you're just so happy to eventually speak to somebody because you're in so much silence. I mean, I did a lot of solitary before I got there. You know, the last thing you want to do is kick off with anybody.
Yeah.
Everybody saw that. And, you know, most of the Japanese, they were so interested in me being English. Oh, England, oh, Beatles, the Beatles, you know. Yeah, you made the most of them times you could speak. You're allowed to say, whisper, idadakimasu, which is like a pleasant way of, it's a thank you for the food.
Right.
So you say, idadakimasu, and then you can eat. So you eat quick, and then it's like done, and eyes closed, and you wait for the sign, like that, right, speak. And straight away, so there's a newspaper there, the Tokyo like equivalent to the Bangkok Post. Everybody gets a different page, and if you're into sport, and you're kind of chatting away at the same time. You've got maybe 20 minutes to get this chatting. And so there'd be like, there was a guy, American Ken, a black American guy from Chicago, Quinton, a white South African, and then there's like a couple of Iranians, like a mixture. I think there was only 3 English when I was in there, and I only get to meet one of them on one occasion. But there is no like, hey mate, how you doing? There's none of that. It's strict military. You're marching everywhere. You're in groups. You're basically in a factory of 70 people, and nobody gets to meet each other at all, except for like when we were in a tug of war team. And that kind of saved me being in a tug of war team. But it's all in there. Yeah. But things like that really saved me because I was one of the guys in the team. There was at least 3 occasions where I nearly went to punishment, but the big boss like went, oh no. Because they know that they needed me. Honestly, it saved me ass that. So the food I thought was quite good quality because there were farms. There was definitely a pumpkin farm around because there were pumpkin curries and. So you got rice with everything, but if you were a foreigner, you had the choice of having pan bread. So your meals was with bread and whatever the dish was, and it wasn't all Japanese. So the Friday would be spaghetti bolognese in the factory, and that was probably the best meal because you got spaghetti bolognese in a bowl, and then you got noodles and you got a bowl of rice. That was the only meal that filled me up. But I came out of there the exact weight that you're supposed to be for your height. Maybe not for my build, I'm probably a bit bigger than for my height, which is why I was starving all the way through it. And you're not allowed any food in your cell, or you can't keep anything. Like for example, a friend of mine, he tried to keep a carton, which was a treat then, to get a carton of orange juice. So he's trying to keep it for a late night thing, and he got caught with it. He had to do a month solitary, which involves a month in a cell. You got to sit down on the floor, either legs crossed or just like that, looking ahead, 8 hours a day. only go to the toilet when you're told, no leaning, doing anything. You've got to strictly do that for a month. And say, for example, in the last few days, they catch you doing something or whatever, they go, right, start again from now. You've got to do that month before you're allowed back in. So it's pretty severe. Part one is the smuggling and the adventure of it all.
Right.
When I say adventure, you know, people, the chaos and the how would you end up doing it?
Right.
The near misses and when he ended up being a private investigator, we've made a little section where it's almost like a TV show, written like a TV show, like a Magnum episode. And then when I get arrested and I go through the police station, and when I get finally sentenced, that's like a clear divide to going into the severe Japanese system. So Ian, who edited it, I didn't actually meet him last year. I was on the way back to Kampot through the Canterbury bookstall in Pattaya. He introduced me to Ian, who was living in Pattaya. So I never actually met him, but he ended up editing the book. 2 days after the edit, he died in Pattaya. Yeah, it was, I knew something was going on. So we'd finished it, done it all, trying to get hold of Ian. Every day he was messaging, he was always on it. I knew we'd gone to a party in John TM, like an acid house party. He was into that kind of thing.
Right.
Anyway, I just thought I couldn't get hold of him. But like then 24 hours, then another, I thought something's not right here with Ian. I kind of thought he was he was 60-year-old, but I knew he was still into his party drugs. I thought, has he took something and got blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I asked a friend of mine to go, he was over on the dark side, I found out where he lived. I eventually went in, and he was in a dark room. Anyway, cut a long story short, he was saying he was okay. I was saying to my friend, I said, get a doctor out. He said, he's seen a doctor. Anyway, the following 2 more days, my friend went back round, and in the morning said he's still there. Anyway, in the evening he died through lots of complications. I think he was in his kidneys. Has got a lot of it. He didn't fully tell us what was going on, but I think he just anyway. Poor fella died. I can guarantee you this: it's not a money-making scheme. So I wrote it with my best mate. It was the sensible side to it all. He's never been to Thailand,
right.
So we wrote it together. I think we make 50p each on a copy.
Right.
Yeah, and I dread to think how much money we put into it. It's thousands anyway. You do it for love, not money.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of what we've done. So I'm quite illiterate, really. I'm dyslexic, kind of. And so, yeah, he's proud. I'm really chuffed with what we've done. And I can promise you, there's no glamorization in that,
right.
in both books. I think you will find, and I'm getting from the reviews as well, it's not what people expect.
Right.
I think it's more realistic.
Yeah.
People wouldn't read that and think, oh, that's a good idea. I think I'll smuggle the drugs, I'll get away with it. And,
right.
I'll go to prison and I'll write a book.
Bango, and it's on Amazon.
Yeah, 2 parts. Yeah.
Yeah, nice one.
Steve, can you sign this for us?
Yeah, of course I will, yeah.
Okay.